Welcome everybody. Today I want to take a look at another fan kit from GiM. This is model number CF-P20. GiM actually reached out to me and asked me if I'd want to take a look at this. This fan is unique in that you can wrap it with a different colored band. So it comes with kind of a pack of multiple styles and colors. We'll take a look at those in just a second, but that's unique and I've never seen any other fan try to do something like that. So I said, yeah, sure, send it over. I'll take a look at it. That's the type of kit that I kind of like to review. My most recent review of a GiM fan kit, it was pretty cool. It was kind of interesting. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Anyways, this is going to be similar to that in that it includes the controller, the remote, and this does come in pink, black, and white. This particular kit is going to be white. So let's go ahead and crack it open, take a look at it, see if it deserves a place in your next build. You get a user manual. You get a box full of all the cables and accessories. So inside of that you get the pack of bands. We'll take a look at that in just a second. You get the RGB and PWM cables. So yes, this controller does support PWM control from your motherboard, and it will connect up to a 5-volt 3-pin RGB signal. Take a look at that. It does come with a double-sided foam piece to mount the controller to your case. The included remote, and this is a tool apparently to attach the bands to the side of the case. We'll take a look at that in just a second. And it does come with a controller. Pretty cool. It's worth noting here that again, these fans are going to be the 6-pin fan connection, which includes the fan control and power, as well as the RGB signal all in one connection. And you get this one has 4 sets of screws, and you get the 3 individual fans. They already do have a band included. Looks like it's kind of a black color. Okay, so let's take a look at the strips that come with this. And we'll get these out of the bag there. It looks like there are 3 different additional colors. Again, it's got a black color already attached. It comes with white, a gray color, and these are kind of a transparent. So to change the band, step 1 is going to be to undo the existing strap, obviously. The documentation instructs you to slide the tool up under this bottom buckle here and unbuckle it. I have attempted this a couple of times and I find that this tool doesn't really unbuckle this really well. It's hard to get a positive grip on that buckle. I really just can't get it no matter which way I do. That said, it's not terribly difficult to get it unbuckled. I've resorted to using a screwdriver on just a couple of my test runs because I can get just a much better grip on it. And you just kind of stretch it up over the buckle here. And once you get this first buckle undone, then the strip just slides right out. Just undo it from all 4 corners, and it's buckled on both sides, but after you get the first set out, it's easy to do. So you're going to set this in there, and you just want to hook both sides, and then you're just going to feed this back through. And once you get to the end, there's just these 2 holes. You just want to center it over the first. That's really not a buckle. You just want the pins to kind of go through that. And then it's this very last hole here that what puts the tension on the strip itself. And again, I have found the included tool just is kind of hard to work with. It just doesn't get a real positive grip. Once you get it done, just kind of go around and make sure it's kind of tight and in the channel, and there you go. You've got the new band on, and you can change that to any color that you want, or I suppose leave it off. I'll go through a montage here of what the different bands look like when they're installed. All right, so let's go ahead and go over some of the other functions of this kit. We'll start with the controller here. The controller includes 10 ports for fans, GiM does state that you can use a 4-pin RGB strip. If you have that, you just use pins 2 through 5 on that. It includes a SATA power connection, so just plug a SATA power connector in there and you get your power to everything. You've got the pigtail header here, which includes your PWM connection and your RGB connection. That RGB connection is a 3-pin 5-volt ARGB header on your motherboard. I did test that. I connected it into the ASRock header. Works just fine. Controlled it with no issues. The PWM connection, I did plug it into the PWM connector for the AIO control, which is kind of where I got these two fans up here. This does not have the range that the Corsair fans do. This is 800 to 1300 RPMs, and you get no RPM feedback through the software, obviously. But it did work. It did control it and didn't have any issues with that. So the remote on this is fairly typical. This is a little bit different design than they used last time. On-off, obviously. You've got a mode lock function. This upper button here, you can change from motherboard control or into the controller, which is a good statement. You do not have to use this pigtail. PWM control is not required, and the RGB controller on your motherboard is not required. This has a bunch of lighting sequences in it that you can use, but if you're going to sequence it up to other lights and things like that, use the motherboard, but you'll use this button here to toggle that. You can control the speed of the lighting sequences up and down. You can change the mode forward and back. There's a handful of modes in there. There's really no list in the documentation, but it's got all the fairly standard all the different lights and breathing and things like that. So the middle play button is kind of an auto mode function where it'll sequence through those. Brightness up and down work just fine. If you are using the controller and not the PWM control of your motherboard, the fan speed up and down does work. And then you get just some quick color select buttons, white, blue, so on and so forth. Remote worked fine, no issues with that. So okay, so that brings me to my final thoughts on this particular fan kit. Obviously, the main selling point of this is the colored bands themselves and the ability to swap them out. It comes with gray, white, this translucent crystal one, and a black one, which was pre-installed. So I don't know if the pink and the black kits have anything different in them, but overall, my impression of that is it's been very nicely done. These are cut nice and straight. They wrap tight around the frame. There's no folds, wrinkles, imperfections in it. It's precise. It looks like it should be there, and it fits good, and it looks good. If you came up to it, you're going to be like, hey, that's pretty sharp looking. And the only negative I could say about it would be the included tool to unbuckle and buckle them. Anyways, the fan itself, it's an inexpensive fan. As I'm filming this right now, this white kit is $21.99 on Amazon. I'll put some affiliate links in the description below, but value-wise, it's really good. The fans are quiet. They're not ridiculously loud. The RPM range on them is limited. It's 800 to 1300. So it's not going to compete with a LL120 fan. If you have some serious cooling needs, these might be a little in the light department. I did just some really basic tests with this, and I got some pretty similar results for what I was doing with it. And so overall, I don't have any concerns, and just a basic gaming build. These are going to be just fine with, if you're not launching, not doing anything ridiculous. So I just wanted to follow up on one of the functions that the documentation talks about, and that's adding a 12-volt RGB strip to this controller. It talks about adding it to pin 2 through 5, and it would be very important that only pin 2 through 5 be used. I initially connected that up around and had a little bit of an issue with it. So it would be possible to connect up to the 12-volt pin on this and possibly causing some issues. And so it's not marked on the case at all which are pins 2 through 5. It's not in the documentation what the pinout is. So pin 2 through 5, as I believe it, is centered in this connector. So you're going to leave one pin on each side. I'll put a picture of this controller and what I believe to be the pinout. I would suggest to GiM that they either mark that or at minimum put the pinout in the documentation so that we know what it is. That's a good segue into maybe just another criticism about this particular controller. I talked about it briefly earlier, but the last GiM fan kit that I did this is a different controller, but it's got some distinct advantages. The more I think about it over this, is that the SATA connection, as opposed to being right in the controller, it's put it in a cable, so it gives you a little more leeway as to where to position the controller within the case. So I do actually like that better. It does provide 2 LED strip connectors, the 4-pin connectors that we just got done talking about. They will work in these fan connectors as well, because all you need is the signals off of them, but this is explicit. There's no guessing on this. It's keyed properly. You can't mess that up. This also has the pinout for the reset switch. Oddly enough, this connector looks like it's got the port maybe for that 2-pin reset switch, but it is not present. So another suggestion to GiM would be to use this controller. It is better in every way than this one, in my opinion. So anyways, overall, my final thought is for $21.99, if you're building a budget PC and you want some basic RGB lighting, there is no lighting on the outer rim. It's just in the inner hub, but what's there does look good. Overall, the fan is pretty sharp. Obviously, a lot of this boils down to beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So you'll have to be the judge of whether this fan looks good to you. As I put them in here with some of the really expensive Corsair fans, they kind of hold their own. They look pretty good. I mean, there's definitely a difference in them, but overall, pretty top notch. That's going to do it for today. If you have any comments or questions or anything I can help you with this particular kit, please let me know. I'll put an affiliate link in the description below so you can check it out on Amazon. Anyways, that's going to do it for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.